Hello everyone, this is Lisa with Old Orchid Yarnery, and we are here with our kickoff lesson for our Building and Color class. That's going to last nearly a year, starting in August of 2025. So in this class, we're going to be learning all different color techniques throughout each month. Our first color technique is Intarsia, where you're placing a block of color in the middle of other colors without stranding the color across the back of the other color here. Now there are a few techniques I want to show you. The pattern itself, the chart, is fairly straightforward. You're just going to follow each square is a stitch of each color. The important part is to learn the technique to change colors here at the breaks, because we have to link those colors or else we're going to end up with holes all the way along our work. So you also run the risk of tangling your yarns. So you'll see right now I've got my yarns are all untangled. They're free. I've decided I like to manage them in an O-snap bag or something like that, because then I can put each yarn in here. I can pull the strand through, snap in between so that they don't get all mixed up. But I'm going to show you a couple of things in this video. I want to show you how to link the yarns properly on the knit and the purl side in Continental and English style. But then I'm also going to show you how to keep these yarns from tangling up. The author in the book does mention resist the urge to untangle the yarns. Just turn the work properly at the end of each row and it will untangle itself by the time you've completed a knit row and a purl row. So let's get started. Right now I'm on row 25. So I'm going to do 2, 4, 6, 8 of my white stitches. So I'm going to start with Continental style. So we're going to just start like normal. I'm going to knit my 8 stitches, and then I'll get to that break between the pink and the white, and I'll show you how I'm going to manage linking the yarns properly at that spot. Here we go, 7 and 8. Now in order to link the yarns, I want to take my working yarn I've just been using, I'm going to hold it over to the left, and I'm going to pull my new yarn from the bottom, like this. So the working yarn is over to the left, I'm pulling the new yarn from the bottom, and then I'm going to carry on knitting. However, after I do the first stitch, the tension of the stitches right next to the link is important. So after I do the first stitch, I give my old yarn a little bit of a tug, not too much because I don't want to make that too tight, but I also don't want it real loosey-goosey. So the Goldilocks method, we want it just right. Now I'm going to carry on knitting with my pink color. And in this pattern, there's always 10 pink stitches. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take my working yarn I've just been using, I'm going to hold it to the left, and then I'm going to take my new yarn and pick it up from the bottom underneath the pink. Now you've got two background yarns back there. Be sure to grab the right one. You don't want to grab the old one from over here. So I'm going to grab that new yarn. I'm going to knit the first stitch, and then I give my old yarn just a little bit of a tug to tighten it up, and then I'm going to carry on to the end. And now I'll show you. So when I've just finished a right side row, I turn the needle towards me to make the tips go to the right. Just a moment, that'll make more sense. All right, I finished my right side row. Now I'm going to turn the needle towards me, turn the tips to the right, and put these yarns over the top. Pick up my needle. On the wrong side rows, we don't have to worry about how many stitches. We're just going to knit the white, or purl the white ones all with white, purl the pink ones with pink, and so forth. But we are going to need to link them still here at the join. So I'm going to move these 2 that I don't need out of my way for a moment, and I'm going to start purling. Again, this is Continental style. I'll do English style in a minute. All right, so we're going to purl across our white stitches with white. And then of course, whatever your background color is and your design color. Now, as you can imagine, when I turned my work, it tangled my yarns up, but don't worry about that. All right, here I am at the join. So just like before, I'm going to take my working yarn and I'm going to hold it over to the left, and I'm going to pick up my new yarn from underneath it. That's how we link those together. Need a little more yarn here. All right. Then I'm going to purl my first stitch, And I'm going to give my old yarn a little bit of a tug and then continue purling the rest of these pink stitches. Now you'll see my old white yarn is kind of here in my way. If I want to, I can just pull that down out of the way. Don't worry about it. And now when I get to the end of the pink, we're going to link again with our other bobbin of white yarn, or our other ball. So here I am. So I'm going to lay my pink yarn, a little more slack, there we go. Lay my pink yarn over to the left and pick up the yarn I'm going to start knitting with from underneath it. See how that comes from underneath it? And it's trapping that pink yarn right up there. It takes a little getting used to, but once you get it, and you're not trying to film it on camera, it doesn't feel too awkward. All right, first white stitch. Now tug on the pink one just a little bit, not severely. Okay, when I get to the end of this row, I want to show you what has happened with our strands of yarn coming out of the bag. So here I am at the end, and if I look, well, these yarns are a bit tangled up. They're crossing over each other. But if I now take at the end of a wrong side row, I turn the yarn away from me and point the tips to the right again. Now my strands are all untangled again. So as long as I do that, at the end of a right side row, I turn towards me, and at the end of a wrong side row, I turn away from me, the other direction. It will untangle that every time you go through each set of rows, back and forth. All right, in just a minute, I'm going to come back and show you all of that English style. All right, now we're going to do it all English style. So I can show you. You'll see I'm starting out with my yarns untangled here, coming out of the bag, going straight to my work. No tangles. So let's set up for English style. So remember, I am not an English style knitter, so bear with me, but there's a couple of important differences as you're manipulating the yarn, especially at the turn, that I want you to see. So I'm going to knit across my stitches following my pattern. On this particular row, our little design in the middle is heading to the left, so I've got one extra white stitch here at the beginning section. So I will knit over to that point and then show you how to link the yarns in the back. Remember, the two main things we have to worry about with Intarsia is linking the yarns properly and keeping our yarns untangled, and our tension. So three things, I guess. All right, then I'm going to do my one extra. Now, just as in Continental style, when I'm linking, I want to move this yarn that I'm working with over to the left, and I want to pick up my pink yarn, my new yarn, from the bottom, underneath. I'm going to go ahead and hold on this old yarn for just a minute with these fingers, keep it out of my way while I complete my first stitch. Then I'll give it an extra little tug and drop it, and continue on working with my new yarn. I'm not worrying about what's going on back there, because that will all resolve itself. I will knit across my 10 pink stitches. In this particular pattern, the number of stitches in the design pattern in the middle is always 10. No matter if it's going to the right or the left in the pattern, it's always 10. All right, one more. And now I'm going to link my white yarn here that I'm going to start using. So again, I take the old yarn, hold it over to the left, just secure it with my fingers, pick up my new white yarn, making sure it's not this white yarn, give it a little tug, knit my first stitch, give the pink a little tug, and drop it. And now I'll knit to the end. And even though I said don't worry about it, I'm going to show you what went on with those yarns behind here. Because as you can imagine, as I've pulled them over one another and linked them, they've gotten a little tangled up back there. Last one. All right, so now at the end of a right side row, I'm going to turn the tip of this needle here. I'm going to drop my other one, turn the tip of this needle towards me and to the right. I'm going to do this. Now, in Continental style, I showed you that I wanted you to put these up over the top as you turned. English style, we need them down in front of us. So pull yourself a little extra slack so you have enough to work with. and we're going to pull our needle out and put it underneath those strands. I don't want those strands trapped inside my circular needle. You see that? They're going over the top. If they get trapped inside that circular needle, we have all kinds of problems when it comes to trying to untangle. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start purling right here with my yarn on this end. Oops, get a little more situated here. All right, so I'm going to purl across my white stitches with my white yarn. I don't have to count on the wrong side, as I told you. But when I get to that new color, I'm going to show you how to link it. It'll be the same process. We'll hold our yarn we just finished with to the left, pull the new yarn from underneath it, and carry on. So here we go, it's the last white one. All right, now I finished with the white, so I'm going to hold this yarn over to the left, pick up my pink yarn, and go in. And can you see how when I do that, it's trapping this white yarn? That's what I want it to do. Now after I complete the first purl stitch, I'm going to give the old yarn a little tug, then just set it aside, leave it alone. Give this one a little tug too, tighten up that first stitch if you need to. We just want even tension, as even as we can. Let me go ahead and purl across the rest of these 10 stitches. We'll link the other one, and then we'll show you the magic of turning the work in the right way to untangle the yarns. I haven't done a lot of Intarsia. I've done a little bit, kind of played with it. I haven't actually put it in a project before, more just swatches so that I could see how it worked. So I've really been enjoying this. I'm looking forward to this end project. Okay, there's my pink. So now I'm going to again just bring that pink over to the left, hold it here gently, pick up my white one from underneath it to lock in that pink. Get ready to complete my first purl stitch there. After I do, I give my old yarn a little bit of a tug and drop it. Give my new yarn a little tug if I need to, because my tension's not that great English style. And I'm going to carry on to the end. And then we'll see what's going on behind here with those yarns being twisted, and we will make sure it works to turn it the right way to untwist them. As long as you do this, each time you turn, you won't end up with a tangled mess. If you do, don't worry, just take the yarn out, move the balls over and under to untangle it, put them back in, and carry on. But if you don't have to do that, you can spend more time knitting. You don't have to spend time untangling. Oops. There we go. And last one. And my book just fell. Let me fix that. Totally professional here. Okay. So I'm at the end of my row. Here's all my yarns. Nothing's tangled inside that circular needle. But if I look, if I pull it out this way, do you see how they're tangled up? I'm hoping you can see that on camera. They're twisted over and under each other. So what I'm going to do at the end of a wrong side row is I'm going to turn the work away from me to point the tips over to the right again. And now, if I take out some of the slack, those yarns are not tangled up. Totally free from each other. So the end of a right side row, I turn towards me. And then the end of a wrong side row, I turn away from me. And by doing that, it untangles the yarn. So don't panic at the end of the right side row. It will look tangled. All right, so the last thing I want to show you is this fun little embroidered embellishment that is part of this motif this month. They're just placed approximately in these alternating sides of the wave going across the middle. It's just like a little rosette. I don't know if you can see that. Here's what the back looks like. It's called a spider web stitch or spider stitch. So all you do is you're going to cut approximately an 18-inch section of your third color of yarn that we're using this month. The one I'm using is this Cascade Sport Wave that has all these fun colors going through it. My other colors here are Sueño. And what you do is you pick the approximate place you want it to be. I want it in this curve about here. It's not super critical that's exactly right, but I'm going to go approximately right here, I think. So I'm going to turn over to the back. And what I want to do is I want to weave in my end first. You don't have to, but I'm going to. So I like to use duplicate stitch. And so for duplicate stitch and garter, you're going into the purl bumps, and we're just following a pattern of a stitch in and out. You can also just start your spider web stitch and then weave in your end later if you want to. But I'm going to go here and then back down over to here. I know it's probably a little hard to see. We'll definitely talk about this in class, and maybe I'll do a separate video on duplicate stitch because it's kind of hard to see here. Follow over this way. Definitely a little awkward. But in any case, however you want to do it, we're weaving in our ends. You do want to make sure, however, it doesn't do this. You don't want it to show on the other side. So I wanted to show you that at least. However you weave them in, you don't want it to show. In order to make it not show, you don't want to go under 2 horizontal bars each in a row. That's why we're going diagonal to complete the duplicate stitch here. Just go a few times, doesn't have to be a lot. We do one more, and then we'll start our spider stitch here and here. So before I start, I'm just going to double check. Now you can't really see that there, it's fine. My spider web stitch is going to be right over the top of this. So let's find my spot again. I want it to be approximately here. All right, so to do this stitch, you're just going to come up in what's going to be the center of your spider web stitch, and you're just going to make radiating spokes going out, and they need to be an odd number. The size of them is up to you. So you'll just go down. Whatever size you make these spokes, the bigger your little rosette will be. And then you can come back up in the middle again. I think I did 7 spokes on the other one. The pattern just specifies an odd number. So you see how you can see my background yarn a little bit coming through there, but when I put my spokes in, it's kind of covering that up. So we're just going to go in and out and make an odd number of spokes. I'm going to do 7 because that's what I did before. You see that spoke, they don't have to be exactly the same. It's really approximate. Back up to the middle again. That's 3. I'll go over here to 4. And 5. Now that's an odd number, so I could stop, but I really want 7, so I'll just put a couple more in somewhere. So I'll just come back to the middle. And maybe I'll put another one right in here. There's 6. And what else do I want? Another one. All right, I'll put one over here. 7. All right, now I'm going to come back up the middle, and now we're going to start essentially weaving our yarn on those spokes. So I'm going to come up the middle, and then starting from here, start wherever you want, but you're going to go over and under those. So I'm going to go over this one here and under this one. I'm not piercing my fabric. I'm going over this next one and under this one. I'm going to turn this for you. So over this one and under this one. Got a couple here kind of close together, but it's all right. Just got to keep track. Over and under, over and under. So now I'll go over this next one here and under the one next to that. And because it's an odd number, as I continue to go around, if I went under a spoke previously, I'm going over it the next round. So now I'll go over this one and under this one, and you're just going to keep doing that around and around until you have filled the spokes with weaving. So let me just keep going here, over and under. And then over this one and under that one. And if you can see from the previous round that you went over it and you're now going under it, that's correct. So over, I don't know if you can see that. Last time I went under this one, and now I'm going over it, so that's correct. And I got to be sure to go find that other one next to it to go under. There it is. Feels a little awkward, but don't worry. It just really doesn't have to be exact at all. All right, and then over here and under the next one. Now you will normally be doing this, I believe, at the end after all of your panel is complete. So all of your yarns that you've been knitting your Intarsia with won't be attached. Mine are still attached, so I'm kind of making a mess out of them right now, but that's okay, I'll fix it. All right, I went under, so now I'm going to go over and under, and I'm getting close to being filled. My spokes are filled. When you know there's no more room to go over and under a spoke, you know you're done. And over and under. Because I had another spoke there that was a little longer than the others, I'm going to put in an extra round. Excuse me. All right. Just kind of take a look at it, see how you feel about it. I think that looks pretty good. So now I'm going to come back. I'm not to the center, sorry. I'm going to go back down, but I want to go back down the spot I just came up. I'll go down the end of the next spoke. So there's my completed spiderweb stitch. And you can see it covered up any of the other color from the bottom when I wove it in that might show through. So now I will just flip it over, and I'm going to weave in and out of these to weave it in. You could tie a knot in here if you wanted. I was thinking after I did my first one that I could have probably, because of the nature of what this is going to be in the end, it's going to be a blanket. I want it to be super sturdy with these ends. And because both the beginning and the ending end of this spiderweb stitch are close to each other, I probably could have not woven that in and then just tied them together perhaps in a good sturdy knot underneath. Of course, then you'd have a knot underneath on your blanket, but I don't know. Go lots of different ways with that. I'm just going back and forth until I feel like it's pretty secure. All right, and I will cut that right here. And that's done. You see I've got some other ends to weave in back here, but we'll deal with that later. So for our purposes today, here you see that we have our Intarsia band of color going up the middle of this panel, and then we're starting to have our spiderweb rosettes. The next one will go here, next one will go up here, and they'll go back and forth all the way up. I hope you enjoy it. As always, if you have any problems or questions, please get a hold of me by email or call or come into Help Desk Wednesdays or Saturdays 1 to 2:30. I look forward to seeing your projects. Bye-bye.